I think it's safe to say, if Minato hasn't already been on an FBI watch list, he definitely is after this week's episode of My Hero Academia. I mean, this boy definitely pushes the boundaries, but I think this week was his biggest one. It made me laugh, but it also made me raise an eyebrow or two, I definitely will admit. This week's episode continues on the trend that I guess this arc has kind of been setting out, that it was going to be a very slice-of-life heavy arc, where it was the daily adventures of basically preparing for a school festival, as we also have one of the most, I would argue, one of the most unique villains the series has seen to date, as it's basically a commentary on YouTuber culture and things like that, and how people naturally would try to rise to fame using internet clout. And I have to say, even though Gentle and La Brava aren't dominating an episode every single week, I think are just in it enough to really get you on board with the idea of these two and how basically you could have the biggest fan just think you're amazing. A single person when the entire internet's against you, and that's enough to say, you know what, damn it, my dreams do matter. I'm gonna push forward and just damn the haters, damn the critics, and as we see, it's basically him trying to crash down on a school festival, and I just kind of love that idea that pretty much every single time something's happened at this school, it just makes everyone think UA is pretty much the most unsafe place for students in training. And I just am already excited to see that once again, the police are gonna be like, yep, we were right, we should have canceled the festival. And then they're gonna see Gentle, Criminal, and La Brava, and I really hope that's gonna be as amazing as I'm already picturing it. And I think it will be based on how much people enjoy these two characters and this arc in general. Every time they pop up, it just feels like we're understanding this guy more and more, and just how he is so just out of touch with technology. And it makes sense for his generation and things like that. Not everyone a part of his generation grew up and kind of adapted and changed as technology improved, but I love the idea that he just attempts it. He attempts a YouTube video, it goes so horrible, and then one of his fans basically hacks into his account to track him down and say, I'm your biggest fan. I mean, this dude, he has no fandom. He has no one to really support in his twisted dreams. And honestly, it makes sense, it totally does. I'm just imagining what would happen if he had like a million La Bravas. Would he abandon the current La Brava, or is that going to be the one that always is going to catch his eye being like, you were the one who always believed in me first? Like, there's just so many ways to take that, and just the commentary and meta commentary on this idea and topic overall with YouTubers and how people will do anything for views and chase it. And basically, it kind of seems like, hey, you know, at this point in time, you're my biggest fan. I'm going to, of course, love you and cherish you. But then at the same time, once those numbers start climbing, maybe that person gets pushed to the side a little bit more. Or maybe you remember who was there for you when you were at the very bottom. There's just so many ways to take that concept, and I have to say, as a YouTube creator myself, it's just nice to see a mangaka take that and then also just see how a studio takes that content and just turns it into something that feels like a ridiculous supervillain, but also something that feels so relatable on the process. And I love little moments like that, which My Hero Academia does a flawless job at, especially when it tries to tackle things in a very unique way that not many series can definitely compare to. I've mentioned it before in previous reviews as of late. The idea of this arc in general, I think, is good because we technically see these students in situations that they shouldn't be a part of. They're literally fighting supervillains to the point that's like, we should naturally be leaving that to the pro heroes. They haven't finished their training yet, they're not professional heroes. So it's just nice to have them back into a setting that basically lets them act their age. And that is, of course, is going to have immature moments. I mean, you literally have Togeto stick his ass out through a bush to say he's a peach. Like, I mean, that's pretty much as immature as you get. But I think for them being as young as they are and just after everything that's happened, I personally like those simple moments. It's just childish, it's innocent, and it's pure. I really think it is. Minus Minta, that's a little not so pure and a little something else, but it's still funny nonetheless. So it's nice to see those characters just really do pretty much, honestly, basic school activities. They're learning their instruments, they're basically preparing for the dance and things like that. You're getting these moments where you just are like, holy shit, are they really gonna fire our boy Deku? Does he suck that bad? Nope, we just need him to basically drag his bitch ass across the room. It's like, okay, the show, it just has such simplistic comedy at times, so that simplicity, it honestly makes it all the more funnier because it's not this super elaborate joke. It's literally just a character saying something very bluntly or something that they just truly believe, and the outsiders looking in are just like, are you serious? Are you actually saying that with a straight face? and it just makes us crack up. And one of the more hilarious moments, if I'm getting this right, I'm going off the top of my head, the Romeo and Juliet, Prisoner of Azkaban, like Return of the King, it's just the combination of fantasy there. I'm just like, okay, you know what? We got to make sure we see that. Like, that had to be the first stop in your day-to-day activity going through this festival, because it's just like, those little moments, those just so overboard moments, they just really stick out. And of course, we're not in anything super action-packed or dramatic as of yet, so it's a lot easier for those simple moments to stick out a lot more than if we were in the middle of something super dramatic and, super highly refined in the writing department. But still, those little moments definitely make up an episode to turn it into something that just brings a damn grin to your face. And this episode literally had Eri interacting with the school and students in general, and it wasn't a ticking time bomb, which just is a blessing in disguise. I thought the first time she walked around, she'd have a panic attack, anxiety would rise through the roof, and, someone would definitely be hurt or something, and maybe it would be dramatic. But no, she just got to act her age for the first time probably since she's ever remembered. Before, her life was turned to shit, and basically she was manipulated into being a tool rather than a little girl. And it was so nice to see how she was just interacting and just really felt like her age for once, and how she was just holding on to Togata's clothing and things like that. Just those little adorable mannerisms where she's actually starting to feel comfortable with herself and feeling safe around those people, not walking behind someone shivering, wondering if she's going to get hit or manipulated, but actually trusting in these two characters as if they are actually what she would consider family at this point. Someone who's going to look after her and really trust in her and protect her if need be. And I love that growing relationship and how she doesn't even have to say too much, just the way she looks at things or interacts with things. The fact that she's finally getting excited and just those little moments, I just love how Eri isn't being forgotten. She easily could have been, especially because it was basically mentioned that, hey, we're not going to be able to use her power to just fix everything because it is something that is uncontrollable. What the author could have easily done is just say, okay, now that we've handled that, why we can't just solve any and all issues, we're just going to forget about the character. No, you're keeping the character relevant and making it feel like a person rather than just an anime trope or gimmick or plot device, which honestly, sadly, a lot of mangas and anime in general, they get that wrong. They say, okay, this doesn't have a plot-centric reason anymore, we're just going to ship her away. No, don't do that. Give her a personality, and the fact that they are and are taking the time to slow it down and say, hey, after everything we've experienced, let's make sure that she can interact with people closer to her age or people who aren't going to hurt her or manipulate her, and just looking after her well-being in general. Like, that's so nice. And the fact that just simple things like Deku's training isn't just a 1-2 thing, like, okay, All Might said a couple of encouraging words, said do this, and now he's mastered it, so let's just move on to the next action piece. No, he literally is going to have to rely on technology. I thought it was kind of interesting, though, that basically All Might, he pretty much tried something similar to what Deku's doing with the gloves and things like that, but because he was such a up-close and personal fighter, his equipment always broke. And it's interesting how he brought up the idea that he's seen a lot of heroes who relied on their equipment more than their power, so when the equipment broke, basically they were shit out of luck. And I'm really glad they're bringing up simple things like that, because it is the natural things that a reader, a viewer is going to think of, like, hey, yeah, it's really cool that that glove is going to compensate for your own shortcomings, but what if that glove breaks on the battlefield and you're fighting a supervillain, you're going to die? I appreciate that rather than just saying, okay, we're going to make everything just super convenient that we have a wizard in terms of a tech guru, we're just going to solve any and all shortcomings that someone might have. It's good to amplify, maybe compensate for some shortcomings or aid in terms of your ability in general, but if your equipment breaks, you want to have these characters be enough to be able to run away or fight and actually protect the people in question. So just those little moments, it just makes you happy, whether it's something more on the plot side with how a character is developing with their abilities, or just on the emotional struggles, or, the emotional high points where these characters are just getting to act their age and feel comfortable before, of course, Gentle Criminal comes in to crash the party, which is still just is so fun to think about how that is going to look and operate, and it's just going to be amazing, I absolutely know. And the fact that Gentle Criminal and La Brava are clearly going to be the last thing that we're really going to go up against in Season 4 of My Hero Academia, what better way to go out with a bang? Like, honestly, if you're walking into the season, have never read the manga, you'd probably think to yourself, something like Overhaul would be the best way to go out, similar to like a Hero Killer or something like that, but no, Gentle Criminal. Like, that's something that's just, it's so different, it's so refreshing, and I think it relieves the tension that you still are probably feeling to some degree after that last insane arc. It just feels good to watch My Hero Academia as of late. It always feels good to watch it, but there's a difference when watching something like Overhaul that's playing with our emotions and making us tense up non-stop, and something that's making us being like, oh, that's meta commentary on YouTuber culture and just school festival hijinks. It's a different type of enjoyment, and I have to say, I'm loving my time with this arc, and I'm really excited to see where they're going to take it next week. But as always, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Manga readers, anime originals, whatever you're feeling, do let me know. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, and remember to hit that subscribe button if you happen new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.